Well, good morning and welcome to day 2 of our reading plan through the book of James. Today's reading is James chapter 1, verses 12 through 18. And I think it's important to point out at the start of this book that this book was actually meant to be read as one letter. It's a letter written to a group of people. So what we're doing is actually intercepting somebody else's mail, and we're only reading like a couple lines of it. So keep that in mind as you read the whole thing throughout the next couple weeks. I want to share one thought with you from our reading today. I've been thinking a lot about the topic of desire since I preached on it at the start of the new year. And I've been reading this awesome book called The Soul of Desire by psychiatrist Dr. Kurt Thompson. So I was surprised and excited to see James write about desire at the very start of the book. And what he's doing is he's addressing all these different kinds of trials. And he says, blessed is the person who endures, who is steadfast under many trials. One particular kind of trial would be temptation. And he says, don't go thinking that God is the one who tempts you to sin. No, God can't sin. God isn't evil. Your sin comes from desire. And let me say this. Desire is neither good nor bad. I won't judge desire. I will say we all have it. It's part of what it means to be human, is that we want, we hunger, we yearn, and we long. And St. Augustine put it this way. He said, our hearts are restless until they find our rest in thee, O God. So all of us have desire. But what James is saying is that it's actually desire, when it's allowed to sort of fester and gestate, that gives birth to our sin. Here's what he says in verse 14. Each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his or her own desire. Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. Now, when I read this is like a mirror to me that's holding up to myself, and it makes me wonder, if I can look at my sin, anything that I do that's not pleasing to God, that's broken, that's whether it's impatience or all the other things I could list here, I can backpedal and trace its origin back to some kind of desire, to something that I wanted. And he uses the imagery of pregnancy. He says it's desire that when it is conceived, it gestates within us. Now, I have been pregnant 3 times now, and one thing that's marvelous about pregnancy is that my body's doing most of the work. I'm not actually conscious of the work that's happening. My body's just doing its work in me to bring forth this baby. And James uses this imagery to say that our desire actually gestates and forms and becomes something we are often not conscious of until it is born, until we act on it, and it comes into the world and brings forth sin and death. So let me walk you through what this looks like for me. I have a deep desire for validation, and I would be embarrassed to say that, except I know that you probably do too. And the way that looks for me is that I want to get that desire met through some shortcuts, through some easy ways, like through the number of likes I get on social media, or by dressing a certain way, or by talking about myself a certain way. And those things, if I'm not careful, those things gestate and become something and are born into the world in a way that is not life-giving. It makes me feel insecure. It leads me to compare against other people. And I think that's what God is saying. He's saying, hey, don't blame God for this. This is actually what happens when you are not conscious of your desire and giving it to God. So I wonder for you, what do you desire? What is your deep desire, the thing beneath the thing? And instead of just letting it gestate in you to rumble around and then be born into the world in a way that does not bring life, can you give that desire to God this morning? Thanks for reading with us, and I hope you have a great day.